We're going live. Hey, everybody, it's Mark Masters. We're back another Monday, always booking comedy. We've got Rob Fish, first upstate New York comedian we've ever had. What's going on, Rob? How's it going? How's your week?
Well, off to a great week so far. Eagles winning the Super Bowl was pretty awesome.
Is that your team?
So, oh yeah, diehard team. My mom's family's all down from the area, so that's just where my allegiances fell naturally. And yeah, no, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that game
Nice.
thoroughly, despite everyone
Yeah, yeah,
else
yeah.
being,
It was the big win.
bored.
Dominant.
Yeah.
Uh, what kind of comedy wins we've been having recently?
Yeah. Just got a bunch of shows booked through a promoter here all through the summer. I'm going to be doing everything from campgrounds to just little microbreweries. So it's going to be interesting. Probably going to need a lot of bug spray.
Oh, I can imagine. What kind of like nearby or long travel all over New
Kind
England or
of more or less varies. No, more or less predominantly in upstate New York. Um,
okay.
I've been doing a lot of so it's that's kind of the upstate New York comedy, is about 5 hours away from the old big city, New York's. And so you end up doing a lot of traveling for a lot of your gigs. I'm based out of Utica, New York. Um, don't look it up, it's horrifying. But yeah,
Is there a club in
uh,
Utica?
there was for a little while after the pandemic, and then that closed. And so the closest club to where I'm at is 50 miles west in Syracuse. They have a Funny Bone there. And then
Okay.
if you go 80 miles east out towards Albany, they have a Funny Bone as well.
Okay.
Comedy at the Carlson's 2 hours away. That's in Rochester, New York. And then obviously got Buffalo Helium. So like on 90,
Yeah.
you have a lot of like the corporate clubs,
Yeah.
but
Do you
it's
know
just
Sarah
every.
Benson by any chance?
I've
Out of
heard of the.
Rochester?
I've heard
Okay.
of the name. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard of the name. I
She was
know.
in Denver for a while and then moved back. Very funny.
Yeah, it's like Steve Rogers is. I was just getting started as he took right off and was kind of getting out of Syracuse, but he was a
Yeah.
staple in the area for a really long time.
He's
And then
killing it.
obviously, excuse me. Oh yeah, no, I'm rooting for him every day. Like it's
Nice.
he's such a good dude, such an organic guy, and it's just he was so nice to me when I met him the couple of times that I did. That it's just yeah, I'm always rooting for him.
Nice. That's all. That's a funny thing, how much people remember kindnesses in comedy. Like it can it can go like, you might not see him for 6 years. And six
Well,
years
I
from now
mean,
you might be booking something huge and think about him and so be nice, everybody. That's the
yeah,
lesson
no,
there.
100%, and that's just like in. If you read all the biographies, if you read all the stories, listen to all the road tales, I mean, it's just you never know who you're going to meet down the line in comedy. Like it's just it's you meet somebody in passing in an open mic, and then 5 years later, you're just like, holy shit, Mark, how have you been? I mean, we met at Skankfest. I mean,
Yeah.
and we just hit it off, and from there, and that's how I'm here. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, definitely be kind. Because comedy is anything but to start. That is like it is just open mics is just you shouting into the abyss, just screaming over local patrons trying to get attention, and they could just care less about what you have to say. And it's
Yeah.
just like, and it's like as long as you can just stick that out in the beginning, the rest is gravy. And you just got to rely on the people around you and the other fellow, open micers and the comics, and it's just like because it's just we all go through it.
What's the open mic scene like in Utica?
So open mic scene's pretty robust, despite our small size and how isolated we are in the comedy world. They got three mics going on here routinely. There's plenty of spoken word mics, and even like the musicians are always trying to get the comics to come in, because even on their mic nights, it's just such a great breakup. So the whole art scene in general is very supportive, just because of just the diverse landscape you got to traverse here geographically. So it's just like anytime that anyone's looking to empower one another, they try to. But the comics in general are really great, and it's uh, a lot of young people, but they're starting to finally just get booked at the Funny Bone and competing at the Clashes, hosting their own shows. A lot of what we do up here is self promotion. It's you setting up the shows in these small rinky dink bars in East Jesus nowhere, and you're basically just hoping to God that you can be more compelling than the firefighters chicken barbecue or the Methodist pancake breakfast. I mean, it's really what it comes down to up here.
Hey, tell me about one of your. Have you had some successes running indie shows in that area?
Oh, yeah,
Tell me about a great
100%.
one.
Like, we did a show at the Elks Lodge a couple miles down the road here. That was 120 people. I
Wow.
know. Yeah, yeah.
And who performs on that? Do you bring in
It
a
it
New York City
it was
comic,
low.
or is it just locals?
So at the time, it was just bringing in. I brought in Alex Mallory from Rochester, a good buddy of mine. Met him through again Mike Peters years ago, and then we ended up in a show together. And it was just like, holy crap, you're still doing it. You too. Oh my god, we got to do a show together. And it was just like, so between that and then Karen Runtowski was our headliner. She was spending some time in the area. She has specials on Dry Bar Comedy. She has her own Paranormal
Nice.
Karen podcast, and she came through and was the headliner. And it's kind of crazy how um, people are kind of connected and affiliated with upstate New York. Everyone either has just an uncle that has been ostracized by the family that lives up here, or there's just Utica was notorious for being a place where mobsters would go to retire, and it was just like, so it really is like Utica really is just a collection of just wayward family members that just built a community in upstate. So it's just like I became really close with Chris Vega um, from New York City. He's part of Gas Digital. And
Hmm.
he had a connection in Utica and was just like, hey, can you get me on a show? And I was just like, sure. And I shit you not, it was in a bar that is only busy during snowmobile season. And there was about probably buck 50, maybe 200 people, but it was just a diverse mixed crowd. And a couple younger people there under the age of like 18, but the parents were just like, just let it rip. And it was one of the funnest nights of comedy that I'd ever had. I mean, it stunk of just people in snowsuits all day, but it was just everybody was just looking to have a good time. So yeah, it's those are two of my biggest wins in
Okay.
general
How
in
did you
comedy.
do you have any tricks to getting those butts in seats? Any kind of marketing stuff you did, or was it just luck? Or
It's a lot of just luck, and it's just like it really just comes down to just small town camaraderie. A lot of
mm,
the promoters in the area, um, as long as you're just honest with these people, these are small business owners, that are just trying to get people in the door and trying to give anybody a shot. So it's just like as long as you're authentic and you're just trying to do good by them, they'll put the word out and they'll do right by you. I mean, trust me, it certainly helps that the majority of my gigs are in towns that have less than 1,000 people in them. So, it's just you put enough flyers on in the local gas stations and you share enough on social media, because that's another thing
yeah.
I've learned is that small towns are insanely plugged into their local social media,
Hmm.
and then it just takes off from there organically. Like it's
That's
just
awesome.
yeah, as long as
Yeah,
you're
and I
just
have
authentic.
found that those small town shows are more fun than big city shows 9 times out of 10, because there's something about the audience being excited to have entertainment that they don't have access to normally that just makes it a special evening.
Exactly. It's just like you are their Friday, Saturday, whatever night you are their night out. I mean, it's just to get a sitter, to put all the plans in place to be able to go out. I mean, it's just like they're making the investment in you, and as long as you just do good and you do right by them, they'll rally around you. And it's just like, and that's where you build up. I mean, it's just like I basically look at it as just like, hey, I'm pretty sure I'm in like the minorest of the minor leagues. I have tons of friends in Philly, and it's just the joke is it's just I'm the king of nowhere comedy. Like it's just like I mean it's cool. I'll take my crown and be king nothing, and it's just but um like you said, I mean it's all about just these small towns are just so unbelievably supportive up here, and it's uh we literally can't do it without them.
Yeah. Do you charge for tickets or do free shows or what does that look like?
It's a combination of the two, really. I mean, it's just a lot of door deals, predominantly of the stuff I've done. I know some businesses have put up money up front, and it's but we also have small places where it's just free shows, and it's just people that have been doing it, only a year or two, that are just looking for a shot to just really get in front of a crowd that isn't, a bunch of cynical jerks in the back, looking at their notebooks. So it's just like it's a good mix of everything.
Nice. Any struggles with ticketing? Good things, bad things around
Oh
ticketing?
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's just, I'm for all the successes that, I praise and, and I'm thankful for. I mean, the truth of it is there's at least, I mean, I don't want to say 100 because that's excessive, but at least, 10 plus where it's 20, 36 people, two,
Right.
a,
Yeah.
a bar, a bartender. I mean, and it's a lot of things, it's just, weather, time of year, and the fact that it's just, it really is just ebbs and flows to it all. I mean, it's small
What do,
towns. People live in paycheck to paycheck, it's, you get caught with your car in the shop and, next thing you know, it's just like, that's the budget that goes.
yeah. When you charge for tickets, do you use Eventbrite or another ticketing system? What do you like to use?
Honestly, it all depends on the location. There are some people that are just like, just handle it's all hands off, just run it through Eventbrite. And then there are some people that are just like, yeah, cash is king around here. And
Okay.
I've even had places that are just like, oh, we want actual tickets, like tear offs. We want people to remember it, and it's just like it's been a genuine little blend
Have
of
you done that?
everything.
I recently saw some tear off tickets and I was like, this is cool. I should I
Oh
should
yeah,
figure out how to print these. Have you done it?
I
How did you get them
I've
made?
I did it Canva Pro, and then I just passed it off to Staples and I said just make this work. I'll just charge me whatever you need to. It's like
Okay.
that's the beauty of, the world we live in now, is that it's just like you throw your credit card into a free trial on an app to get what you need. And as long as you just remember to cancel that, you can just ship it over to Staples and make it somebody. It's just they're your office admin.
Did they
Like
and what did they look cool? Like did you like them?
oh yeah, they shiny gloss matte finish, very well done. The little tear off stub and everything. Yeah, no, they were really cool.
Huh.
I've got a couple in a box that of just cool little keepsakes
Huh.
that I've held on to through my travels. But yeah, honestly, I a lot of up here is just like it's very DIY, do it yourself, and it's uh, the open mics are, the couple that we have are really, really great. But when it comes to putting on, shows, you really got to get creative and put in the effort. And that's what pays you dividends. That's what gets people in the seats. And it's just like, it's because like, everyone genuinely respects somebody that's going out of their way and trying to put forth a good effort
Yeah.
and isn't trying to be a
Do
shyster.
you have to bring equipment to some of these venues?
Oh,
Lighting, sound?
best thing, yeah. No, I've got the whole setup. I got a spotlight, the whole tent pole. Every comic around here drives around. They don't have roadside kits. Like, I mean, if you ask them for jumper cables or a tire jack, I mean, they just look at you lost. But we've all got speakers, extra mics, cables, lights, stage. I mean, all of us have something. And when it's literally just like, hey, mic shot, who's bringing the backup? And I got it. Cool.
Nice.
Like it really is. Yeah, no, there's a bunch of there's a couple local promoters. I mentioned, homebrew comedy earlier. There was a guy that used to do a lot of comedy shows. He does a lot of trivia, bar trivia shows, and a lot of the comics work with him, and so they all get a little equipment set up. He gives them a little outfit for their nights, and they're always welcome to, keep them in the cars for the shows. So
Nice.
yeah.
Is there any equipment that you particularly like? Like anything you
Uh,
want to shout out or
Mike
is it
stands that can last more than a month. That's usually, that's I.
solid circle base?
Oh yeah, no, I've got one. My parents owned a bar and restaurant when I was growing up as a kid in like real upstate New York in Hamblen County. If look it up later. It's the county's the size of the state of Rhode Island, but it has less than like 4,000 year round residents in it.
Wow.
That's I graduated with a class of like 15 kids. Like it is, yeah, no, it is. So anyway, they had a karaoke night, and uh, so they had a bunch of sound equipment. Sold it years ago. My father was cleaning out the shed, handed it to me. I shit you not, dude. This thing is so heavy, like you could use it as like a genuine like workout tool. It's one of those old school ones.
Yeah.
Like every couple of years, like I gotta like sand it down and like hit it with Rust-Oleum again, black, because I mean it's just wrought iron. Like it's Big Bertha, it's old reliable, but it's just like I just can't seem to get rid of it.
Nice. Amazing. All right, we got a question from the internet from North Carolina here. Do you adapt your priorities to writing more or doing online content since the live scene is a bit sparse?
I writing. I personally have just leaned more into writing. Um, you find me just at the gym when I'm just pacing around the house constantly. There's just always a thousand things just going through my head, and I finally over the last couple of years have had that notebook. So it's all about just churning out new material and trying it. I did try a podcast a couple of years ago with my brother. We fell off doing it, and it's just we've talked about getting back into it because it's an online world now. Like it's just for people to think that they're just going to sit in the gallows of open mics and local bar shows and think that it's the only way you're going to become a good comic and get noticed. I mean, that's old thinking. You
Yeah.
need you need to think outside of the box. You need to think of like a podcast or just put some sort of online presence out there. And that's something that uh, awful at because I grew up in a town in the middle of nowhere. Online, I didn't have high speed internet until my senior year of high school, and I wasn't watching YouTube. I was watching porn and playing World of Warcraft. So I mean, it was just like I didn't have a cell phone until my like sophomore year of college. Like it was the online world thing was just something that I just totally missed out on, and it's just something that I know how important it is now.
Right. Is there like seasonality up there with like a lot of snow, I imagine, and then also like days a week? Like, are these indie shows, are they more popular on weekends or weekdays, or when is the like?
Yes.
Have you learned over the years like maybe a venue asks you to run a show and you're like, I don't think that's really going to sell well, or you're like, yes, let's absolutely do that.
So, winter and springtime is usually when you get your most amount of people because everyone's
Okay.
always looking for something to do. Everyone's looking for a reason to get out of the house. Everyone's just like, is sick of staring at each other. Like um, summertime is when things tend to fall off around here a little bit, because everyone's just looking. I mean, I don't know how it is in Colorado, where you're at in Colorado exactly, but I mean, we live in an area where it's
Denver.
just like 8 out of the year, it's just snow and it's cold, and it's just like,
Right.
so those 5 months in the warm months, everyone's just looking to do stuff. But at the same time, though, it's just like, I know people that have had success just thinking out of the box. Backyard comedy shows have become a thing. So, and again, like I mentioned in the earlier, my friends got me doing a string of campground shows. So I mean, it's all a matter of just kind of just putting yourself out there and just kind of hoping that people show up.
Yeah. So let's talk more about those campgrounds. Have you done these years past, or is this the first year you've done
This
that?
is no, I'm going into this blind. I know a couple of people that have done them years before. Um, and I guess it's more or less just a matter of how much booze they brought into the campground and how sauced up you're going to get them, because it's just, I've heard great shows, and then I've heard of just like people falling asleep in the front and snoring as loud as the sound equipment. So uh I'm excited. Like I said, I've grown growing up in the small town and just being in Utica and just working some of these just crazier shows and mics. I'm all about it. I've been doing this for about 8 years now, and it's just, there's nothing at this point that I can't handle and turn into a good time. I mean, it's just, I've done the dog birthday show. I've done just all sorts of just Memorial Day show for a lady who couldn't even, like, who was on a hospice. She just wanted comics for her barbecue on a Memorial Day weekend. Like, I mean, whatever, man. There's no situation that I'm just like, I'm in over my head.
What's the far? We met in Las Vegas, pretty far from Utica. What's the farthest you've traveled to do comedy?
I haven't gone much further than Maryland, DC primarily. I mean, I've done mics and gigs out in Boston. I've done shows out in Albany. I've done spots in Philly. I know, like I mentioned earlier, I know a bunch of the guys out there.
Do you know Zach Travis by any chance? I think he lives in New
Uh,
York now, but he started in Philly. Or no. He lives in Philly now. He started in like Alabama or something like that.
oh no, I
No.
haven't. I know, like, my good buddy Seth Ruddick, Drew Montana, Naeem Ali, couple, James Woods, Rusty.
What was the DC? I haven't been out to DC or Maryland for that matter. That's interesting. What are those scenes like? What did you have a
uh,
good experience? Tell us a story from there.
oh, yeah, no, I had a great time. It was just, everyone was just unbelievably. The comics were great. The the one thing that I love about, like, particularly about my time in Maryland to DC, is that the audience is unapologetic with how they feel about you. Like, if you're funny, they love you. They'll rock with you. But if but they saw through the BS immediately. Like, my first two spots, deer in the headlights, just trying to get a feel for it, just wasn't authentic, and they immediately knew it, and they were just like, nah, whatever. Like, and I get off stage, sweating, just dripping
Yeah.
off me, because yeah, it was. But by the second day, I was just like, all right, just like it's just a confidence thing, and it was just.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a nice reality check too, because it's just like, when you do a lot of these spots up here, and it's a little bit more forgiving, and everyone's just thankful that you're there. um you kind of lose sight a little bit, and you kind of just need that kind of, almost like I said, reality check.
Yeah. Does Bob Marley come through upstate New York? Do you know who that is? Not the Rasta guy, the reggae guy.
um
He's like
yeah, I feel.
he's
I
like a
think
New
he
England
just.
staple. He was in Boondock Saints and He does a lot of like small town. The campground stuff made me think of him. But
Honestly,
he's a big deal. He'll sell like 500 tickets in a in Maine, in the middle of nowhere, Maine.
I feel like he's been pretty involved before in the Albany scene. I feel like I see a lot of I
Hmm.
think um I know the name super familiar. I know I've seen his
Okay.
face
Well,
before, but I
it
haven't.
could be the reggae stuff.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah, no,
kind of a
yeah. I
famous
could
name.
also, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I could also
All
just
right. Well,
confuse
you
it
mentioned that
with
you've
a
been doing this
crime.
8 years. If you go back and give yourself any advice, what would you tell yourself back in the beginning?
Uh, I would tell myself to be patient, fully commit to it, and don't don't beat yourself up. Like a lot of being up here, like I said, it's just like your opportunities are 120 miles one way on average. So
Get a good car, a
yeah,
reliable.
get a good car, and then pray to God that your car insurance company don't drop you when they're just like, you hit the fourth deer in 5 months. Like it is. Uh, so yeah, have an insurance adjuster that is sweet on you, but it's also just understanding that it's just the journey of 10,000 hours
Okay.
that we none of us get away from it, in the
So
things
so
that
I
we love.
don't yeah, I don't really know upstate New York real well, but like Buffalo, like how far away is Buffalo from you? Is that
3 hours,
upstate New York? 3 hours. Okay.
three
Let's say
hours
I
on the
flew
throughway.
into let's say somebody flew into Buffalo. They must have an airport, right? They got an NFL
Yeah,
team. They have an airport.
yeah.
So you fly into Buffalo. It's summer. You rent a car. There's not it's not like 6 feet of snow. Give me like a 5 to 8 night run you would do from Buffalo. Like, would you go Buffalo? You wouldn't go to Utica right away because that's 3 hours
No,
away.
no, no,
No,
no. You
what would
got
you?
so yeah. I mean, it's pretty presumptuous of me to think that everyone just knows New York State geography. Um, so New York's got has Interstate 90, which runs all the way, basically just right through this upstate New York.
Okay,
On the at one end you have Albany. On the opposite end you have sorry, I'm trying to communicate. You have Buffalo.
okay,
So in between Albany and Buffalo, you have Rochester, Syracuse, Utica, and a couple other weird pit stops. Albany. So you
okay.
would literally just go from Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Utica, Albany, and there's
Wh-
a
Which
small
which one is west and which one's east? Is
Utica.
Albany?
Buffalo's west, Albany's east.
Oh, okay.
So
So let's say you flew
and
into Albany first and went that
yeah,
way.
you could
What's the
fly. Yep.
other direction from Buffalo? Like, is there another state over there? What's my geography is
Oh yeah,
terrible.
fair. It's you get over to Ohio over there. So yeah, you keep
Oh,
going there.
okay,
Oh yeah, so you get into Columbus. I think
okay,
Cleveland's like a little south of it.
okay.
And then yeah, so it's so there's and that's the thing. Like in from Utica, it's like 3.5, 4 hours to Philly. It's 4.5, 5 to New York.
Whoa.
Um,
Okay.
Boston is 4 hours away.
Huh.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not.
like the
I mean,
cool.
that's not terrible.
No, well, that's the beauty of New England, and that is that it's just like because it's where we set up shop. Everything is just so unbelievably congested, and like everyone completely overlooks that, myself included. It's just the traffic. I mean, it's just that's more or less what you got to deal with in this. And from upstate New York, it's all unbelievably rugged terrain. I mean, basically, like when I'm playing video games with friends or from ever online gaming, socializing, and like a lot of people just assume that just like you guys sound super Canadian, and it's just like yeah, basically that's basic.
How
We're
far are you
like
from Toronto?
uh,
Have you ever
I
been there
don't
to do comedy? Must
no,
be
no, no,
pretty
no.
far. Okay.
That's a goal of that. That's a bucket list thing. I because like Montreal is just it's just literally on the other side of the border. So like
Okay.
I definitely would love to just be able to do comedy in Canada eventually. So yeah, about like
Cool.
3.5, 4 hours to get to
Oh, okay. Pretty
Canada.
close.
Yeah,
As
yeah, no,
close as
yeah,
Boston
it's
is. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's kind of that's but yeah, no, it's you would just start in Albany and then you would just literally just work your way
Okay.
westward and you
Yeah.
would find
End up
it's
in
perfect.
Cincinnati, Kentucky. You just make your way
Yeah,
across the whole U.S. if you wanted to. Okay, well, we got to
yeah.
land this plane here. This was really fun, Rob, and I want you to stick around after we wrap this up. But where can people find you? People come
Uh
into Albany or Buffalo and they want their Rob Fish. Where are they going to track you down?
so yeah, definitely just follow me on easiest way to see all my shows is on Instagram at fish called Rob. I'm on X, a fish called Rob. Don't really check it much, but and then yeah, I've got shows all between May and August. I'm at the KOA in Unadilla in May. But yeah, just check out a couple other just
I
just
love
check
that.
check me out there. So
The king
check me
of
out on social
campground
media.
comedy, everybody, Rob Fish. All right. We'll be back here next week. We got the whole back catalog of stuff. You can hear about all kinds of things. Check it out. It's Always Bookin Comedy. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks to the question from Mark in North Carolina. I'm going to wrap this up now. And